everybody. Eric with American Business Systems here, and we've got an incredible interview again. Obviously, you saw that we did a webinar last week with an interview. Now we've got Lindsay Hatfield this afternoon, which is going to be a superb webinar and interview. Adam and I were on just preview before everybody else started jumping on, and you're gonna enjoy today's interview. So sit back, enjoy the next 59 minutes here. This hour will go by faster than you can even imagine. So the first thing I want to do is make sure that everybody knows where to put their questions in. Now, Adam's going to jump on here in just a moment, and he's going to kind of lead out on some of the conversation with Lindsay. But I'm going to be monitoring on the other backside of here, doing the Q&A and kind of watching for your questions. So we want to make sure that you know where that is. So if you're a first timer on here, type in where you're from this afternoon. Sometimes I like to see that we're right across the United States, everything from the East Coast to the West Coast and here in the middle. So if you don't mind typing in here where you're located, and we look forward to calling out some names here. So we got folks, we got folks from Denver, North Carolina. We got some folks from North Carolina, folks here from Texas, and now we've got some folks here from Las Vegas. So hey, we're all over the place. Got some from Dallas, Texas. Good to see you. Anybody from the far West Coast? We got Missouri. We got some from Connecticut. There's a California. So folks, we are coast to coast this afternoon. So thank you everybody for piping in here and letting us call you out where you're from. Again, my name's Eric Auger. I'll be your kind of a co-host, kind of a Q&A guy today. I got the opportunity to have Adam on here, which is awesome. Have the CEO of our company on this afternoon, so it's rare. So not only are you getting Lindsay, but you're getting the CEO of American Business Systems. Speaking of ABS, it's been around for 29 years. I was talking with Patrick earlier today. We were just commenting and reminiscing about the last few years. I mean, I've been with the company for 16, and it's amazing that here shortly we get to celebrate 30 years. And I thought, gosh, are we going to do anything special for 30 years? We got to do something, Adam. So we ought to kick the can around the room and see what we can come up with. But obviously, folks, if this is your first time to ever join us, this is all about medical billing, which is called revenue cycle management. We have everything that you're going to need to get going. Obviously, all the training that you're going to need. We've got the platform. Our platform is powered by NextGen. NextGen's been around for a long time, and they have our platform. They kind of manage it for us. They make sure everything's working in the background. It is 100% cloud-based. There's nothing you have to load on your computer, which means you don't have to worry about security either. So all of that's done through there. Obviously, you can get a demo of the system through the coach that you're working with here at American Business Systems. Also, everything's included of what you're seeing here. There's no piecemealing any of these services along here. You've got iClaim, you got EMRX, you got Credentials Now, Doctable, Virtual Care, Audit Guard, and CodeWrite, which are all the coding services that you're ever going to need. So there's no reason that you have to go out and get a degree or a diploma or anything else, or a certification as a certified professional coder. We have all of that ready for you. So everything that you're seeing here today is included in your investment for yourself. As I mentioned earlier, Adam is going to be joining us here in just a moment. But let me share a little bit about Adam. Adam is our CEO of American Business Systems. He took over from his dad, Patrick, a few years ago as the Chief Executive Officer. He's been doing a wonderful job bringing some new services that we have on board, and I think there's even some more coming up. And folks, once you become a part of American Business Systems, if we do add any other services to the all of our services, that's also included. Just not anything you have to go back out there and repurchase anything. Adam's been writing some books here. He's got 9 Ways Doctors Let Money Slip Through Their Fingers. He actually co-wrote that book with Dr. Vicki Rackner. Some of you may have heard my interview with Dr. Rackner a few weeks ago. If you haven't, you want to go back out there on YouTube and go check that out. But he is also a contributing editor for a billing and coding magazine called Billing and Coding Advantage Magazine. So he's been doing a lot. And he's also the founder of an organization called MERMA. That's Medical Revenue Management Association of America. Now, what's important about that is this particular group that will actually certify you as a certified medical revenue manager. You get to put CMRM at the end of your name, which means that you've got your own credentials, you've got your own certification of being a certified medical revenue manager. Again, all by a group called MIRMA, which is separate from American Business Systems, which is exactly what you need. Now, some of you have been to our website, just wanted to make sure that you know that you can go download our 5 secrets to success. Just go over there, make sure that you put in all your information, and you may have already put all of that in there. Again, I'm going to make sure that everybody understands that we're doing an interview today with Lindsy Hatfield. Again, I got the pleasure of meeting her just a moment ago. Again, type in any of your questions throughout the presentation today, and I'm going to bring on Adam. Adam, it's good to have you here this afternoon. This is going to be so much fun. All 3 of us are going to be here, and I'll let you introduce Lindsy this afternoon.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. Appreciate you doing that little intro for us. I'm really excited to chat with Lindsy. She's got a lot of cool stuff going on that we're going to share with you guys. And like Eric said, just anything that comes to mind, if you'd like to ask her about running a billing business, what it takes, what's worked, what hasn't worked, whatever you can think of, type it in there, and we'll try to get to all your questions as we go here. But yeah, I mean, without further ado, let's go ahead and bring Lindsy on, and let's chat with Lindsy. Are you there?
I'm here. Hi.
Hey, there she is. Well, thanks for joining us today, Lindsy. Appreciate you taking time. I know you had a bunch of fires that you were working to put out right before we jumped on the webinar here. Yeah, thanks for taking the time. So
thanks for having me.
Yeah, sure. So I love the look there. You got the professional brick wall back there. Yeah, obviously. So you do have office space, I guess, or is that your home?
I do. No,
Okay.
no, this is office. So I have office space. It's actually pretty big. I can turn it around and show you. I rent.
Oh, wow.
That's nice.
Yeah, pretty good
Wow,
size office space.
That is super fancy. Yeah, most of our owners, I would say, work from home. We do have a cloud-based software platform, so it's really easy to work remote. Even if you hire other people, which we'll talk about, they can all work remote. But yeah, a lot of people do want that kind of nice professional presence. And sometimes they just need to get out of the house and go work somewhere else. So
yeah, we kind of flip it a little bit here with my employees. I have some that are virtual, and then I have a couple that come in.
Cool. Well, let's go back to the beginning. Why don't you share with everybody just a little bit about your business background, your experience. Were you in healthcare, and like kind of when you got started in ABS and all that kind of stuff?
Sure. So I actually had a medical billing background for several different types of billing. Oh gosh, I think I'm probably going on 22 years. I started in high school as a part-time job at a pharmacy, and so learned a lot of pharmacy billing then. And then as I put myself through college, I worked for a ambulance billing company. And then I ran the payments and collections side for all the insurances in the state of West Virginia for a radiology company.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And so then I started doing, it's actually really weird. I started helping friends and family that would get statements from like, hospital stays or large statements that their insurance wasn't paying and they couldn't figure out why, and they couldn't get anybody to talk to them. So I started doing a lot of those on the side as like a benefit administrator for several years until 2016, which is when I started my actual billing company.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So what got you looking into the ABS opportunity? I mean, were you looking at other healthcare opportunities or billing specifically? What kind of attracted you to ABS?
So I like whenever you start a company, a lot of times it's because you truly understand one large piece of it. So I understood medical billing, and which you don't have to, especially with, using ABS, but I understood medical billing. What I didn't have a lot of knowledge of was starting a business, all the marketing, all of the, contracts, the proposals, all of those things. It takes a lot of time to put together, and sometimes a lot of money. When you're putting contracts together, sometimes you have to have an attorney if you're starting from scratch. So I started Googling different softwares and things. And actually, I didn't know that you guys existed until it popped up. And so I started researching it and realizing that it's like a business in a box. Like, I have all these options. I have all these people I can talk to. I have, like, knowing one aspect of it is great, but you need to know the financial side. You need to know your LLC side. You need to know, there's a lot of pieces to starting a business, specifically a medical billing business.
Right.
There's a lot of HIPAA things that you have to understand. So there's a lot of things that need to be in contracts and things in proposals that take time to learn starting out. So whenever I started doing research on you guys, I realized that having iClaim and EMRX and all of the, things that you offer from a software standpoint is fantastic. I love the system. I immediately started going on and looking into it. And I actually talked to your dad, because at the time he was still very much involved. And so there's a lot of things, a lot of questions that I had, but knowing once I got into the ABSLSS site and seeing everything, I realized how much stress it was going to take off of me to be able to focus on how I wanted to grow the business. And it was a no-brainer in my mind.
Yeah, a lot of people, there have been some people that have kind of like crunched the numbers on what it would take to come up with all these marketing materials and your own website and all these different forms and documents that you need, and HIPAA stuff, like you said. And they realize, it would cost me about the same or even more than what ABS costs to join. So
oh my gosh, I mean, the numbers alone, just with the marketing materials, and then what you're right with the site. But then when, before COVID, because I was a pre-COVID person, there was a lot of conferences that we have around here. And so the things that you offered with the conferences, being able to utilize like the backdrops and the tablecloths and the, just being able to sign up for all of those things, it was so much, those are expensive.
Yeah.
And it really made your business immediately look like you had already been established.
Exactly right. Yeah. And so Eric's showing that slide there of all these updated materials. I don't know if you've gotten a hold of any of these new flyers, but we just recently refreshed all the flyers. They have a very nice, modern, clean look.
Ooh, I love those.
If you want. But yeah,
I haven't gotten on them.
Yeah, we can definitely send you some new updated stuff if you want. But I'm glad you mentioned the trade show thing, because COVID shut that down for a long time, but now it's starting to come back. And we've also just recently come up with another trade show display. We've got a brand new, refreshed, full-size trade show display, a tabletop display. Those just arrived in the mail like yesterday.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
I didn't even tell Eric about that. So.
Get us some pictures so we can show people. It's pretty awesome.
But yeah, we just got them back from the production company. They just made them. And so we're going to be allowing people to rent those out, and they just have to cover shipping, and that's it. They can rent them out for trade shows and events and all that kind of stuff. So, I
mean, that was one of my favorite things when I very first left and came home, because, I was also in person in Texas. So, but when I came home, I had a conference that was coming up, and it was seamless. It was so easy to be, and it looked so much better than everybody else that was there. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my gosh, some of these companies have been established for a long time, and it was beautiful. I mean, it was easy to pack up and send back. I mean, I really loved that feature. I love all the features, but that one was a great one.
Well, good. That's what we were going for. I mean, we spent a ton of money on graphic design and printing, and we want our owners to be set apart. We want them to be seen as hey, these people know what they're doing. Like, even if you're
Mhm.
working out of your home or your garage, as my dad likes to say,
Exactly.
they're not going to have any clue that you are because of all these
Right.
professional materials. Yeah. So,
Exactly. That was really what I was looking for, because to be able to get to that point financially, oh my gosh,
yeah, that
so
stuff.
much more than what you invest into ABS.
Uh-huh. Yeah, exactly. Well, you brought up one of our many different marketing methods, trade shows, special events. Let's talk a little bit about, so you went through the training way back in the olden days. We had live training where we would fly people from all over the country to a hotel in Dallas, and we would do this training, and it was great. I mean, it was really,
It
really
was
good.
great.
Obviously, COVID came around, but it was weird because we actually decided to test doing online training right before COVID came. And so it was very fortunate that we had got that all worked out. And so when COVID hit, we were like, okay, well, we're doing online trainings now. And so that's what we've been doing. They've been going really well. It allows people to be a lot more flexible and do it around their own schedules. And it's still done with a live instructor, but it's just online now. So very, very cool. But so you go through the training, you graduated, you receive your certificate. Tell everybody a little bit about, because you were telling me that you had kind of done it, a little bit slower growth in the beginning, maybe part-time, I don't know, because you had something else going on. So talk about how long it kind of took, and what marketing methods you were doing, and how you got that first client and all that kind of stuff.
It did. I started out slow for several reasons. My area that I live in, I actually live in West Virginia. So it is, marketing and things is a little bit different here. Just some of what we do is a little bit more behind, I guess, than most places. So there, I did do cold calling, but I was also doing this part-time while I was running another company. It wasn't my company. It was, but I was COO of that company.
Yeah.
And so this was a gradual thing for me. That position, that COO position, became available really right after I got back. And it was a hard decision to make because I knew that I've always wanted my own medical billing company, but then this opportunity came about. And so it was a struggle, but I knew I could do both. But it did take me a while because of that to get my first client. But I did do cold calling. There was a lot, some of my aspects of that job and in this company, I could kind of mix together a little. But in the end, it was actually, and now I told you I didn't, was having a hard time remembering, but now I do. My employee, she's still my employee. She and I worked together at the other company where I was COO. Okay. And she had done medical billing for years. She's an older lady. Yeah. And she said, I have a friend of mine who's retiring and I want to introduce you to her. She used to do medical billing. And so we have a lunch and we're talking, and she was getting phone calls from smaller practices that were needing somebody to come in and fix a lot of, things that were going wrong, or the money wasn't coming in. And so she was sending those referrals to me at that time. And then I was able to obtain my first physician. I think that was probably I did this in 2016. So I'm going to say it was into 2017, beginning of 18. Okay. When I actually got my first client, meaning first full-time billing client. I had little things that I was doing like credentialing and things like that but wasn't a permanent long-term, situation, like everyday billing. But my first billing client, it did take me a little while, but again, I was COO of another company, and, at the time I had 85 employees. So it was, it was a little bit different there. So, but then it kind of started slowly growing. That client, I still have that client.
Oh, wow.
Yep. I still have that client. He is a very good client. And then they actually have sent me my other clients. So the combination between that client and the lady that was sending me referrals before,
Yeah.
Are the ones actually sending me the clients that I have, the other clients that I have now. And so that's kind of, your trickle down effect of referrals and
Yeah.
word of mouth.
Yeah.
So
I hear that all the time. I hear
Yeah.
that all the time, that they sign up a couple of clients and they start getting referrals from those clients. It just grows organically. And you mentioned a minute ago, you said the bad word, you said cold calling, and that usually makes people, cold
I know that's
But
not
then,
for everybody.
but then you said that first client, it sounds like came from kind of a networking or market referral type thing, which is exactly what we teach. We teach people to really think about who you know already, who may know a doctor, or
Yes.
we also show you how to, I don't know if you were doing a lot of networking back then, because you probably didn't because you were busy, but a big factor, a big thing that we focus on is showing people how to start building a network of referrals through networking organizations like Business Networking International and Chamber of Commerce and stuff like that, so that you can meet people in other industries that are, they don't do what you can do, and those are the people that you want them to send you those referrals. So
I'm going to pop in here, but Adam, we interviewed Bob last week, and Bob said he got his first client through a BNI meeting. And that was pretty quick, after he got going. So Lindsay, it sounds like, again, you were able to do this part-time. Now there's a lot of people on the call today who probably need to stay at their job, but you're saying that you were able to stay at your job and still get a client.
Oh, absolutely. Let's see, it's July. I just quit that COO job a year and a half ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So I've been growing it while still as COO of that other company. So yes, it's definitely doable.
Yeah. So you finally got to the point revenue wise where it made sense, where you could make the jump. I get that a lot when people are looking at this opportunity. They're like, look, I've got a good job that has good money. I want to do my own thing. I want to eventually move out of that, but they can't do it right away. So it's good to hear that, you did build this part-time in the beginning. And like you said, it does take longer to get your name out there. It takes longer. It's just the nature of, where your focus is, it's just hard. But it's absolutely doable. And you're proof of that you can do it.
Yeah, it's definitely doable. And it does take a lot longer. You can utilize sometimes the full-time position you have, you can utilize the networking situations there. In the position I was in, there was a huge amount of networking. It was a company it's a nonprofit. So, some of the things we were doing really needed to focus on that. So there really wasn't a lot of overlap that I was able to do. So I was trying, but it's definitely doable. I mean, sometimes you can get lucky, and I met if I had never been COO, I would have never met, that lady who then introduced me to the other lady who then got me
there you go. That's how it works. Sometimes you just know somebody who knows somebody, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you, so did the majority of all of your clients just kind of trickle down from that first client, or were there, I guess my question is regarding marketing methods. Are there some certain methods that you've really kind of focused on that are working really well for you? Because we have about a dozen or so that we teach people. So
yeah, so a lot of it is word of mouth, but because I noticed, there is, even though it is a referral base, they still want to see like if you're out there. So I started doing a little bit more on, online things, and kind of putting my name out there on social media and stuff like that. And that has actually gotten me a client, but also justified that I'm real, I guess. I mean, like a friend of a friend at a restaurant, says, hey, you need to call her, and they immediately start looking. So some of that I have done. The business networking things you were talking about, those I've gotten a client from there. So we don't have a lot of those here. Chamber of Commerce is a thing, but we have like our towns here have like alliances. that, which I know probably most towns do, but those are a little more focused on than like the BNIs and things like that. So I actually, because of that other job, was able to meet a bunch of people there, and I was able to split my time between marketing the one company and trying to market this company with the area alliances. So that was really good too.
Interesting. So yeah, so you're building up your social presence, and that can be tricky. It's
It is.
start getting into SEO, search engine optimization, and all. I don't know much about that stuff. It's like you got to be a level 12 wizard to understand how to
Yeah,
do SEO.
it is tricky.
So that's why you need companies that can help you with that. And you and I actually have been chatting about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for those of you on the webinar, this is we've been talking with a company about being able to provide some solutions for folks who want to really enhance their websites and their social presence and SEO and all that good stuff. So that's good. That's good here. So yeah, so you got a client through some sort of social networking interaction. That's really cool. I mean, we typically it feels like doctors are typically not doing that, but I may be old school, maybe they are now. Maybe they're going online more. I don't know.
Well, this is also a different industry. So that was the other thing I was going to say. My billing practice, and I may be jumping the gun here and stop me if I am, but I have a lot of different clients. So my billing is not specific to one type of physician.
Specialties, you mean? You have different specialties.
Right. Yeah. So I have a lot of different specialties, several different specialties actually. So it's not necessarily for a cardiologist, but for the other clients that I'm targeting in the behavioral health world, that's where they find their employees. That's where they're putting out most of their notices on changes within their company and things like that. And so I kind of was always doing the referral side and sticking with that and doing until I ventured into this other piece. And so this other piece, I kind of had to learn how they were getting to know each other, like, and where their needs were.
Right.
Hey, Adam, there is a question that did come up from Susan, and this is directed to Lindsay. Approximately how many clients do you have now? So you've been speaking of your clients. Kind of, what do you have? And then kind of give us, you've said a little bit about the mental health side. Talk about all the other specialties that you're doing.
Okay. So currently, I was telling Adam earlier, I currently just signed a couple more. So let me look at my board real quick.
Dream board.
That's good.
Okay. So I have seven billing clients, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I'll get into that as well. And then I have 2 that I'm not actually currently doing their billing. I do all of their credentialing for their insurances, help them. I kind of did another tiny little piece, which I helped this business start their business. And they actually have a little piece of like nonprofit and things like that I was able to help them with. So there's 2 more clients. They do billing, but we haven't started that piece yet. Right now, we're currently focusing on credentialing for them. So I have a neurologist, I have cardiology, I have primary care physicians, I have a surgical doctor who is pretty large and with the hospitals in our state in Southern West Virginia. And then, like I said, I have the behavioral health piece now. So those other clients are behavioral health piece. So while the volume of clients is not large, it is, am I allowed to talk about dollars?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Whatever you want to share. It's up to
Whatever
you.
you want to talk about.
So my surgical doctor that I have, that's local in our state, he's roughly around probably 350 to 400,000 a month in billing. So these are minor surgeries. So a little bit lesser dollar amount. as far as, each code that's charged, the coding is a little bit different. So the volume of dollars is higher with that client, but the codes are less. And then with my behavioral health, I have two very, very large behavioral health centers that run anywhere between 200,000 to about 500,000 a month in billing. And those are actually billed in 15-minute units for an hour, it's about $120 for one claim. So that the volume of the codes are the same, but the amount of units is higher for that piece because the dollar amount's less than the surgical. And then the neurologist, he does roughly around, we collect for him roughly around 60 to 70,000 a month for him. And then the credentialing piece is a little bit different. My primary care physician, he's around 40 to 55,000 a month. So the dollar amount, while the clients don't, the number of clients doesn't seem like a whole lot. It is the dollar amount is where, and the volume.
Now you don't have to get specific on your revenues, but can you just share kind of roughly what you're charging on a percentage basis for all these clients? Or
I am, yes. So I also do consulting as a piece. So really weird that it's a business model that I kind of jumped headfirst into. It's a little bit unconventional. The medical surgical doctor, he had two billing staff that he really loved, and they were very smart. And he is about 3 hours from me. And I was going to have to hire more staff anyways. So my decision there was to hire his two staff under me and keep them at his facility. So they are actually my employees, but located at his office, which is that's an unconventional way to do things.
Yeah.
And, right out of the gate is very complicated, but as you get bigger, sometimes it's easier to do that. It saves me from having to travel, all over the state for all my clients. So I charge a percentage. But then I also do consulting. So I do sometimes like a retainer fee. But my percentages range anywhere from, I think my lowest is 6.5% and my highest is 20%.
20%?
Yeah. So
is that old AR or?
That's old AR.
Yeah.
Okay. That is old AR. That is not their new AR. Right. That particular client, their percentage is still a little higher. It's 12% for their new stuff, only because of the behavioral health aspect. So I have different percentages for different specialties.
Yes. Okay.
Because of the amount of complicated and volume that it is. So, my other, like my neurology doctor, he's 6% because it's easy and we've got him down to a routine, where the other pieces are much more complicated. And it's just different systems. I'm also working out of a lot of systems too, like software systems.
Yeah, we can get into that, but let's see. I've got a question from Ankit is asking, a question for Lindsay, are you outsourcing the billing? So I think they're wanting to know if you have employees, which you said you do, actual employees. So how many employees do you have? How many clients can one employee, handle? Kind of give us some idea on that.
So that's a good question. So I have 4, sorry, I hired 2 more people too. So I have 6 employees. 1, 2, 4 are contracted. They're contracted employees. 2 of them are part-time. The rest are full-time. Mm-hmm. And then myself, I'm kind of the primary person right now with what's going on in our state for the behavioral health piece. And then I have another lady that is my right-hand girl. she is learning that piece with, herself, so that I can kind of take that off. But right now we're fixing a lot of things. But the other employees, I implemented a process that sometimes is also unconventional, but it seems to help it out across the board, like with vacations and sick time and also turnover, that all of my employees are trained on every client in every system.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So each piece, and that's not always feasible.
Yeah.
In the beginning with just 3 clients, each employee, I had 2 part-time that would take the lower level clients. And then I had a full-time employee that took the bigger clients. So it just varies. It depends on how complicated the codes are.
Right.
Meaning I shouldn't say complicated, because the system, that I claim an EMRX really makes it, boils it down easy for you. But it just depends on the volume, if you're getting rejections. So here in state of West Virginia, we have a lot of changes to state insurances constantly. It is constant.
Yeah.
So our biggest issue is constantly checking, which the system does, but eligibility, making sure that their tiers are correct and their insurances, which is a whole other animal. So I have a couple clients that are a little more complicated, that 2 or 3 people attack at the same time. But I did train them all across the board to know how to do each client, just in case there was an issue that, especially with COVID,
Yeah.
everybody was sick, and
It's really smart.
all hands on deck situation.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the multiple systems thing, because a lot of people get their brain wrapped around, our iClaim system, which is great and works really well. But like you said, there are just some doctors who don't want to switch. They don't want to learn a new medical record system. Maybe they're locked into some other software contract or something, who knows? So you can still come in and say, look, I'll log into your current system and we'll still be able to do a better job than what you're doing now, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. So you don't have to twist their arm. If anybody on this webinar is thinking you have to, I got to sell them some software. No, you don't have to sell them anything. You're selling yourself, and the fact that your company is going to be able to help them with many kind of different improvements, in the workflow processes and revenue cycle and all that good stuff. So
yes, it is a scary task for physicians to switch. Especially, I've noticed that the ones, like this surgical doctor that I just got, he's in a completely different system that is awful. And it's awful because I claim an EMRX. And so we are working to clean up his system and transfer him over. What I did not want to do was transfer his, and he calls it this, not me, the mess, over into this new system and then have to fix it. So that's another option. And then you get to prove yourself. You get to prove yourself that you can take on the task and fix it, and then bring them over to iClaim and EMRX, and it's so much easier for you.
Yep. There are many ways to do that, to help kind of prove yourself by doing some of that stuff. And Eric just put that slide up there. We have actually seen many cases where our owners have been able to help doctors see 20 to 30% revenue improvement over an annual, time period. And you may have seen that or more in some cases. I mean, it's so funny how people think doctors are making all this money and they don't really need much help. And I mean, they do make good money, but they really just have no clue what's really going on. I bet you've been into some that are just so messy, just tons, just so messy. Right.
The current client I just signed, I literally, it's probably the first one that I've sat back and thought, can I do it?
Can we actually help this guy?
Can I do it? I'm not sure, but he is the sweetest man, and he is just he's so wonderful. I just want to help him so bad, he's from South Africa, and he just looks at me and goes, Lindsy, I need help. I'm aware.
Yeah, I'm in trouble. I've had doctors tell me that with some of the clients I've had in the past. Hey, Al, Larry's got that kind of a question. It's kind of lined up with what Lindsay's talking about there. You know, what is the process and the value add from an ABS business owner?
Yeah, so he's saying for ABS whose clients use their billing system versus iClaim, for example, how do we save them money on rejected claims? So yeah, I mean, I guess, can you go into what you've been able to do for some of your clients and why would they want to use you? You know, what's the point?
So is this question from an aspect with the people that have different systems or just in general?
I think it's kind of talking about different systems.
Okay.
Yeah.
So sometimes that might be, I don't know, some ABS licensees might be able to do it right out of the gate. But sometimes whenever I go in, I can see when I look at an EOB from what they're confused about. Whenever I first go in, they'll give me their login to their system. I typically train myself on how to use their system, but a lot of these systems are similar, except the one I just signed, which is awful. But
an EOB is an explanation of benefits.
Explanation of benefits. So it's the information that comes through from the insurance company once something is billed, and it will have an explanation at the bottom that tells you if one piece of it was denied, why it was denied, if they're needing more information, what information they need, and they'll jot the code out right out from your CPT code, which is your procedure code, out to the side, and it'll tell you what you need to look at. So from these different system standpoints, I go in, and in my contracts, I kind of probably need to say this too. In my contracts, I make it very clear that if we're using your system, I am not responsible for anything that your system does on its own. So some of these systems have an automatic payment posting that writes things off, things like that. So you want to put that piece in your contract, but I go in and I just dive in. I'm a button clicker. So like, which is awful. But I just go in and start clicking buttons, and because everything's fixable, and people get afraid, and there's no reason to get afraid. But one of my clients, they were getting 63% of their claims denied.
Oh my word.
Wow.
Automatically.
Okay, everybody's got to hear that again.
Wow.
Automatically. 63%
denial rate.
63% denial rate. I thought I was wrong.
My goodness.
So I went in and I called the software. I did a phone call with him. I was like, I've ran this report wrong. There's no way. And no, that was correct. And I could not figure out how he was surviving in his practice.
So 37% of his claims he was getting paid for. That's it.
That's correct. And
wow.
I don't mean first denial. You know how you talk about that, that
like a rejection. It wasn't a rejection.
These are denied flat over and over again. Sometimes they were not a clean claim when they went, and they were denied automatically. And then they were rebuild and denied and denied and denied. It was unreal. It took me 6 months to clean that office up.
Wow. My goodness. Wow.
Yeah. But
where is he at now? I mean, where are we at with him?
Oh, right now. So he actually, I love this client. He actually does every piece of iClaim, EMRX, the labs, the e-prescription. We completely transferred him over. He's my primary care physician. He had a software that you actually download onto your computer.
Ew.
I didn't even know that existed still. Like that came out in like 2009.
We have a competitor that still has that.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
It
was awful. So I just told him, I was like, look, obviously you don't pay for this anymore because you buy the software and then you don't pay anything for it to really minimal money. So we cleaned up that and didn't transfer anything over. We started them fresh with iClaim, EMRX. They do the faxing, scheduling, every piece of what can be offered, they have taken on, and it's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And we are at a probably 7 to 10% denial rate.
That's good.
And that's initial rejection of like a date of birth is wrong, or something of that nature.
I'm surprised a PCP could even survive at those rates. So yeah.
That's wild.
He was surviving off of grants through COVID.
Oh my word.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, I'm going to interject this one from Miles. Miles says, it sounds like Lindsay has a background in all of this. What if you have zero experience in billing and coding? Because now you mentioned earlier a little bit, Lindsay, that obviously you've got a background, you kind of got maybe a little bit of head start, but you also said you don't have to have a background in this. You want to kind of go into that a little bit more.
That's why I loved it so much. So all of the people that I met when I came down for training, I think in my class, I was the only one that had ever really had, major experience with billing. I'm almost positive I was. And there was a lot of people in our class. I think there was over 100. So, and we were all, there was a lot.
What?
It was a big class.
Dang.
It was a big training class.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it was huge. Like we had a huge room. So we had, and we met, I met everybody, and I still talk to several of them.
Good.
Several. So, and they did not have any billing experience whatsoever. And they were doing very well. I mean, they were jumping in. You don't have to have billing experience to be able to do this. Your systems will guide you through, especially iClaim and EMRX. Those systems will guide you through completely. That's why I said sometimes when you first start, until you learn the billing, you can get your client over into iClaim and EMRX and it be so much better as you're learning. And then eventually you can get clients that have other systems and you can dive into that once you get used to this. But you absolutely do not have to know anything about billing. I mean, most of the training wasn't even about billing. It was about the systems and the marketing and, how to dive in and the referrals and all of that. It was not about the billing. So that's stuff that you can Google it. And it's
the billing is not rocket science. I mean,
it's not.
There can be an art to really, figuring out certain issues, but
it's not.
But yeah, getting clients is the hard part.
That's the hardest part.
Yeah, there's so many people. I mean, the barrier to entry into medical billing is very low. I mean, you can take a course online, buy some software, and we actually talk with a lot of people who call us up and say, I've got this billing degree, I've got this coding degree, I've gone through all this schooling, and now I'm sitting at home and I have no clue how to market myself. I have no idea. So that's where we come in, is the marketing part. And we do it a little bit, I guess maybe you could say backwards, where we teach you how to focus on the marketing and getting your foot in the door and positioning yourself so they trust you and want to work with you. And then we handhold you after you get that contract. We handhold you on the technical side and kind of walk you through, how to do the billing part.
And that's fantastic, because even with my experience coming in, whenever I started with my first client and we were jumping into the system, my first client, I used the iClaim and EMRX for him. And the training process, the availability that you guys had, if I had a question, it was immediate. If I was having issues and couldn't get a response back, like the support, like I had sent it to the wrong email or something, everything, the support that ABS gives you, you don't even really think about the billing piece, to be honest. I mean, that's the easiest part almost.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, you really don't focus on the fact that you don't know what that code means. I mean, it is so much better. That's why I loved ABS. It took a lot off of my mind that made this so much easier and so much easier to grow throughout the years and be able to jump into different systems and jump into different specialties. And, I mean, it gave me the confidence to be able to do that. I had all this medical billing experience. I couldn't start the business. I couldn't do it. There was no way. I mean, I tried and I had to have, I wouldn't have been able to do it without ABS. It wasn't feasible.
You needed that business in a box that we've got.
Yeah.
I needed that. I needed that bad because, while I knew codes change. Codes change every year. I mean, they add 25,000 codes a year and take away 10,000. I mean, I don't have that memorized.
Yeah. Nobody does.
Yeah. So that was kind of, so that was my next question. There was a question from Nevin, just kind of about how has the ongoing support been from ABS, and did they help you with any client that you needed help with, or?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my first client only uses the practice management side of iClaim, and we do billing out of there. He's still paper charts. Oh yeah. So I pick up the billing. He's actually we've gotten to be very close. I pick up the billing and my staff actually take the paper charts and enter them into iClaim practice management side. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And
so he's just taking that Medicare hit by not using electronic, right?
he was before. Yeah. He was before, but now we enter it all into the system for him.
Oh.
Yeah. And we bill it out through the system.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. And he just doesn't want to touch it.
Right. Right.
He likes his little circles.
Yeah.
So So, and then, and that was great. The training on that was fantastic. I mean, if it didn't matter when I had a question, ABS was always getting back to me. They were, even this newer client with the primary care that's now using everything. I mean, he's just been with me a year, and the training with that was wonderful. Getting all of this put together, communicating with the hospitals for the labs. ABS, it was even involved with helping NextGen, helping me figure out iClaim figure out who to be with on my rep on that. There was a little bit of turnover there. And so I was having trouble getting a hold of somebody, and I sent an email out to ABS support, and it wasn't 10 minutes. I got an email back that said, give us just a minute. And then it was 15 minutes later, I was getting a call from iClaim.
Wow.
Yeah. So it takes a lot off of your mind. Also, I'm somebody that I'm impatient. And so sometimes when I have a question, I kind of want to know.
We've got a few business owners like that. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, I kind of want to know the answer. And so, and I have zero complaints with ABS getting back to me on anything. I've not waited long at all.
Great to hear that.
Yeah, I love it. Even now, even all these years later.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not out of the gate support as soon as you leave and then it trails off down the road. Obviously that didn't happen. I mean, you look at it, we're all these years later and you're still helping me.
Right.
Well, we've got even smarter people that I've hired since you started. So you're in good hands if you need it. We've got all kinds of new ways of getting support tickets that we've got. And of course you can just call our 800 number and get a live person, or leave it, typically get a live person. So yeah, we've got a lot of good people on staff that have been in the industry for many, many years. Tim Warren is our head of support. I don't know if you have had much communication with Tim, but
I have. He helped me this past time.
He's a smart dude. He's an expert at putting together killer proposals. He's put proposals together for people that have closed deals. I mean, it's awesome. So
yeah, he's a great guy. I mean, it was immediate. He said, give me just a minute. And it was almost less than a minute.
There you go.
Hey, Adam, we got about 5 more minutes here, and I thought we could kind of close out with this one from Crispin. He said, Lindsay, in your view and from your own experience, what are the critical things needed for a successful medical billing business?
So if I went back and was going to do this again, first of all, there would be no question ABS is definitely the first place I'm going. So that is, to me, that is the biggest critical piece is having that support with ABS, but also the technical support, but then just the support of starting a business. You know, if you're doing this on your own or with business partners or however, you know, you have a team of people that you can talk to. Other critical pieces is I stay in the know with my local health insurance companies. So if I had to give another major piece of advice, it is contact your local insurance companies if you can. I know some states and cities are much bigger than where I am. Get you some connections with your health insurance companies. I know that's a little bit off the cuff, but if you have trouble with some claims and you need to contact insurance, you have a contact there that you can go to, and a friend in the business. That's definitely another piece that I would say. I mean, gosh, I don't know, but medical billing is ever changing. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared. It's exciting. It is so much fun it's just, you're never bored. And it's not so, I mean, you're stressed because it's your business, but you think about it, 1% of the population owns their own business. I mean, it is so thrilling to know that you're giving jobs and that you're helping your community and physicians around you. I jump in with both feet and do it, because you're going to love it, and don't get discouraged.
That's awesome. Thanks so much, Lindsay. That's some great final thoughts there. Really appreciate you being on here with us. We've got a few other slides we're going to go through here, but Lindsay, if you need to go, feel free. I know you got some fires to put out, but it's kind of cliche, but you really are with this. You really are in business for yourself, not by yourself. Is that
right?
There you go. That's it.
Yep.
Yeah. So thanks so much, Lindsay. We appreciate you being on here.
Thank you guys so much. Have a good evening.
Lindsay. Yeah, you as well.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye. Adam, you want to talk about the 30-day money-back guarantee, and then we'll just kind of wrap it up with the next few steps here.
Yeah, so we don't have any guarantees on getting, certain numbers of clients in a certain amount of time. We're not allowed to do that, but we can share with you average times that it's taken our owners, and she shared some of that information today. But we do have a guarantee that basically lets you do your final evaluation by going through our entire training course. So we give you 30 days to complete our entire training, which is 10 90-minute modules. Everybody finishes that in less than 30 days. And then when you finish that, you can then decide, okay, now that I've seen all the good, the bad, and the ugly about this business, yes, this is for me. I want to keep doing it. Or no, this isn't what I thought it was. I want my money back. And we will give you your money back if it's not right for you at the end of those 30 days. So that's in writing in our agreement.
Yeah, I believe it's on the first page there. So, yeah.
Yep.
So here's the 6 steps, folks, that you guys need to kind of work your way through if you haven't already. I mentioned earlier about the research guide, or actually it was the 5 tips for success, I think it was.
Right.
But you can get a research guide, Adam, and then that's just downloadable. That I guess their business coaches send them the link.
That's right. Yeah, we have a research guide. It's a 60-page document. It goes into a lot of detail on the business model, all the different services that you can offer, because it goes far beyond just billing. So if you need a link to that, just reach out to your ABS rep. We can send you that link. Yeah.
And then like Adam said, gosh, and I was even talking with your dad earlier today, man, we have done a ton of webinars every Wednesday. 52 weeks out of the year, there's not a Wednesday that we miss, man. And here we are. We've got a huge library of past webinars that we've done. So go check us out on our YouTube channel. And we talked about references. Is Lindsay a reference is she on our reference list there? I'm sure she could take some calls.
Believe it or not, she's not on there yet, but I'm hoping she will volunteer to take some calls. Yes, so I'm going to ask her.
Yeah, there you go. But there's others. Bob Wilkie that we interviewed last week, I know that he takes calls. Someone just mentioned earlier about, I think that was Miles. Miles asked about my coach mentioned about ABS does the presentations to the PCP on my behalf. Can you speak to that? And we do. The first thing is you need to see the demo yourself, Miles. So I would encourage you to do that. But we certainly, Adam, we do have that capability. Once they're a business owner here, have the ability to do these presentations for their doctors.
That's right. Yep. That's one step out of several steps that we help you with in order to gain the trust with the doctors so that they want to work with you. It's a whole process that we have perfected and proven over the years. I mean, we absolutely know that it works.
Yeah. So make
steps. Yeah.
Yeah. So get with your rep here and make sure that you see a live demonstration yourself. And then last two, man, you got the purchase agreement and then the funding and the training. What else more could you do? And then you've got the 30-day money back guarantee to go along with that, Adam.
Yeah, and usually your training can start the very same week that you sign the agreement and pay the funding, which is $28,990. You get all that taken care of. We can usually have your first training start that week, so it can start very, very, very quickly whenever you're ready. Yeah.
That's awesome. Give us a call here at 866-565-8413. Adam, this was a great, I mean, we had two back-to-back great webinars with interviews. So that's, if you haven't seen last week's, go watch that one. If you kind of came in the middle of this one will be ready for you the next day or so. So watch this one over again.
Yep. Good stuff.
All righty, everybody. Y'all have a good evening, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Thanks, Adam.
Thanks, Eric. See you, man.
See you, man. Bye-bye.
Bye.